According to Cleaning the Glass, Houston had a 65.5 offensive rating in the half court. They shot 6 of 29 from 3. Do you see anything that Houston can do to score more efficiently moving forward in this series, Nate?
Well, Green and Van Vliet aren't going to shoot this badly from 3. Like, those guys had largely pretty good looks, I would say. Now, the Rockets are just they're mostly an interior team. Draymond Green was incredible contesting shots. The NBA's hand tracking had him contesting 18 shots in game 1. Nobody contested more than 7.
Wow.
So he was awesome, forcing misses around the basket. And part of that, too, is the Warriors don't attack the basket that much, or if they do go to the rim, they do it because nobody's there. So I thought that Green was unbelievable, and particularly with the pacing of the series, he should be able to continue that. And Houston still got a bunch of offensive rebounds. I think part of their offensive rebounds are maybe not as devastating as like Denver's are, because Steven Adams is a great offensive rebounder, but he also isn't really going to get a bunch of putbacks. Like, he sort of just carves out space, gets it, and kicks it out to someone who's not going to make the shot. So I think the offensive rebounding is not quite as devastating as it could be. Like, they can play better than they did, though, and they also can force more turnovers. They can get out and transition more than they did as well. Jabari Smith could never dribble again. That would help. And so they'll be a little bit better. And I thought that they have to feel pretty good about their own defense, because Steph can do this at every time, but he still is not going to shoot quite as well as he did every single game. And I think the guy that I'm fascinated to see is Jimmy, and whether, because he actually was able to score some one-on-one. He's turned into playoff Jimmy. It's absolutely absurd how he does this every year. So that's the question I want to see is sense. Whether
I don't get it, Nate.
Yeah.
I don't get it. How does he do this every single year?
Yeah, he's shooting like 25% from mid-range as a Warrior before, and then he just decided, well, playoff Jimmy's come a little early in that Clipper game, and now he's like aggressive. He's like scoring on fadeaways over the best perimeter defender in the league, Ben Thompson, and like it's. Although I don't know, both of the Thompson twins I think have not been quite locked in mentally enough. As a quick aside, but that's the thing I want to see is like, can Jimmy still score well enough that because I think Golden State is going to have games where they just can't score at all, and if Houston just shoots 30% from 3 instead of 20%, they can win games in this series. So Golden State, I picked them to win. Like, ultimately, I don't think Houston can score well enough throughout the course of the series to win enough games, but they can definitely still win games in the series, I think.
Yeah, I think they can win games in the series as well. I originally picked Houston at 6. Obviously, I don't feel as good about that after game 1. Sengun,
I do respect the pick, though. I thought that was a like 51-49er. I was higher on the Rockets than some. I ultimately went with the Warriors because I just thought Houston wouldn't be able to score against this really good Warriors half-court defense. But like, I could absolutely see that. I mean, Houston dominated them in a game I saw in person 2 weeks ago at Chase Center.
Yeah, and Ahmed Thompson defended Steph incredibly in that game. Wasn't quite as impactful in game 1. Sengun, best Rocket in game 1, had 18 shots in the game. And with him, I know it's hard to get him more looks, but I don't feel like Van Vliet should have more field goal attempts than Sengun in a game. He had 19 in the game. Sengun had 18. Jalen Green had 15 in the game. I'd like to see Houston find ways to get Sengun more opportunities, because you mentioned that game a couple of weeks ago, Nate, where Sengun had moments where he's overpowering Draymond Green and he's outquicking Kevon Looney. I think Sengun is the half-court matchup problem for the Warriors defense that the Rockets need to find a way to get going far more often, because Van Vliet, I know he's going to have a game where he shoots better. Jalen Green should have games where he shoots better as well, but Sengun's the guy that I think consistently you can lean on more often in this series. And I'd like to see Houston find ways to get him 20 plus shots per night.
Yeah. Well, Golden State has some of the best help defenders of this generation all on their team. And the Rockets don't have any shooting. Like, I thought that, like, I didn't think that Van Vliet and Green were like taking bad shots, or if they did, it was because it was at the end of the clock. Like, it's harder for a center to create at the end of the clock than it is for a guard. But I thought like Green and Van Vliet were walking into some pretty wide open threes off the pick and roll. And the Warriors were able to live with that in part because they're worried about sticking to Sengun in the pick and roll. And yeah, if you're going to, I don't know that throwing him the ball on a post up against Draymond Green over and over again is like going to work that well, because the Warriors just have a lot of guys who can help. And I think that could force some turnovers. So I didn't think that maybe they could have gone to him a little bit more. I would actually like to see the Van Vliet Sengun pick and roll a little bit more just to try to get Sengun the ball in space. But then when he is coming down, he's kind of got to shoot that floater because the paint is packed. I think they need, I will respectfully disagree with you on that. That I don't, maybe, 3-4 more plays running through him, but like they don't really have the shooters to run that kind of handoff game either. So you're just asking him to do a lot. I thought he largely delivered, but the Warriors just are too smart and have too many good defenders to just say, all right, throw it to Sengun, and that's what we're going to do. Like the Warriors have dealt with much better ISO players than that over the years.
Everything you're saying, Nate, I just want to break the in case of emergency glass. Reed Sheppard, get him out there. Bring him, put him out there. Let's bring out a shooter. Somebody that shot over 50% from three the final 4 months of the year. Limited minutes, a lot of garbage time. I know. But Sheppard's a bucket. I do wonder. I'm just saying, in case of emergency, if you're down 2-0 in a game 3, maybe that's where you pull out Reed. Do you agree with me there? Maybe if you're down, can't score.
On paper, he is somewhat of an antidote. Now, defensively, he's made too many mistakes. I think that's probably the biggest reason he hasn't gotten on the floor. In addition to the fact that he just shot so horribly the first part of the year, and I think eventually he'll be fine on defense because he's strong enough. He's got good hands. He's aggressive, but in this matchup, like he's going to make mistakes against Steph Curry, against the Warriors. They punish defensive mistakes probably more than just about any team. And even like Houston is not like an unbelievable rim protecting team with Sengun. And so they might have to do that, but Ime doesn't trust him. Like if he had been playing all year, and I think maybe he was starting to work his way into possibly being in the back of the rotation again, and he messed up his thumb. So I just don't think that Ime trusts him enough. I understand. I don't think that's going to work. Maybe they do it if it's desperate, but he just is like, you don't see guys who've been totally out of the rotation like this all of a sudden come in and make a difference unless they're just,
it's not happening.
Like, I agree with you though. Like his theoretical skill set would be great, but
that's why they took him.
Obviously. Yeah. And I still would take him over Reed Sheppard or Castle just because of what I saw in the beginning of in summer league and on film, because those guys didn't impress me that much. But yeah, he's not going to play.
Yeah, I don't see it happening either. It would be nice to see it. Yeah. It would be nice to see Reed Sheppard get an opportunity to be a playoff hero. Me and Tom Haverstraw also had him ranked number 1 in the draft.
No, me too. Me too.
Wow.
Especially in a draft that is not that great. If you had to do a redraft of this draft, top 3, just right off the top of your head,
I'm still taking Reed number 1. I'm still taking Reed number 1.
Yeah, and I might not still change. I would probably move Reed. He was not in my top 3 before. I'd have him in the top 3. I probably would actually still have Sarr.
I think I originally had Reed. End of the year. I had Reed 1, Castle 2, Klingon 3, if I remember correctly. Or Klingon and Castle might have been flipped. I'd move Sarr up from 7. I think that's where I had him. I'd move Reed Sheppard up into the top 3 as well. It's something like that. I think I'd still have Castle in the top 3. I'm more bullish on him than you are.